I want to bring back the fun in education. That's my life's mission. If learning is not fun, who wants to do it? More calculation sheets, more homework I already know after 5 minutes. Now I need to do 4 pages of the same thing. That's torture for a bright child. I'm all against torture, okay? I do whatever I can to make it fun for all of you, which means most of your children might be bored out of their mind. Some I see nodding, okay? If that's the case, we need to be really creative. Even gifted programs might not be enough for your child. How's that for good news? Because what we promote strongly is customized education. Every child has a unique fingerprint. True? Why do we assume they have the same talents? Their talent combination is as unique as their fingerprint. And I'm here to back it up with you with science, with proof, with evidence, with all this good stuff your brain needs to understand that. But most of all, I want to encourage you, keep enjoying raising your children, because they will pick up the difference. If you're an old-fashioned controlling parent, you are lost. You're an outcast, no matter how much they smile at you. See what I mean? Because your kids are bright. They see through it right away. They like you as a person, but maybe not as a parent. There's a difference. And this is the difference we want to explore today. Are we good? Let's do one more exercise. Ready to catch? Good response. What is it? Where's your thumb?
Hip swing.
Oh no.
Thank you. Let's get up. Oh no, wait. Before you get up, I show it to you because it's further down. I cannot jump in the air. Hip swing means the same thing we did with this figure 8 here, infinity symbol. The same thing we do now with our hips. Are you ready? So you start to the right side slow, okay? Slow. Back to the middle and back to the other side. Make the circle as big as you can. You should feel a stretch in all your hip muscles. That's when you know you do it right. Don't do it over with, okay? That's a different dance. Hip swing is different. Slow motion, but big infinity symbols. Ready? Let's do it. Right side first. Keep going. Don't watch each other, otherwise you'll start laughing. Really big, as far as you can reach out. So, parent coach, talk to me, come on, okay. Here's how it started. That's my story. That's not me, but that's my story. My past reincarnation, I was a high school teacher. Biology and chemistry. First in Munich, as you can hear, and then later on in Brazil for 7 years. And about 3 weeks into my job, in 1976, I can't believe it, oh my gosh, it dates me right there. I had this encounter with Monica. She walks in my chemistry lab, make sure she finds a seat next to the window, so she had enough light to read a book under her desk. Smart girl. So, and then I saw this, okay, interesting. I asked a challenging question. Her hand went up first, without raising her head. She had the correct answer, kept reading. Interesting. So I did this again. Next challenging question, her only in the class, her hand went up. Correct answer, kept reading. After 3, 4, 5 times, my own game got boring to me. You can hear it's my own story, absolutely. So after class, I called her up and said, Monica, what are you reading? Oh, did you notice? I said, yes, of course. So the next 3 minutes, she gives me a speech, but I need to read her book, written by Carlos Castaneda, highly spiritual Latin American author. I need to read her book immediately. She did a very good sales job. So I said, Monica, you must be bored out of your mind. She started to cry. Out of this conversation, we developed a friendship, of course, because I was the guy wanting all the other teachers, please let Monica read in your class. That's how she learns. No matter how good you are as a teacher, you can never satisfy this hungry intellect. She is much faster than you can speak. A few colleagues took it on. Others came around after 2 years and said, well, you were right 2 years ago. I said, okay. So I became a specialist for gifted children. It didn't even exist in 1976, but I was their advocate. because I understood their language. And then, of course, they show all the symptoms, like today we would call it ADD, OCD, ADHD, whatever disorder, behavioral disorder, eating disorder, social aggressiveness disorder, whatever. The list is long in the meantime. I don't care about the labels. I care about the child. Underneath the label. Because all these labels hide a bright human being, period. And we'll talk more about this. And needless to say, she represents my own story, I admit it. So I had to do something about it. Now let's see the big picture. More bright children are born than ever in human history. Did you know that? Because right now, at least our country is not involved in any direct war. That's a big shutdown for any culture in the world. But the second big thing is, they grow up with baby Einstein videos. Not with boring toys. They stimulate their visual perception a little bit. They are fast-paced stuff entering, bombarding their brains early on. Guess what happens? How do these baby brains respond? Rapid development. Are you really surprised that these kids teach themselves to read when they are 3? I am not. And don't hold them back. Don't think about what's going to happen in school. Welcome to the challenges of raising a genius child. Thank you for signing up for it today, voluntarily, hopefully. But that's what it's about. We have new challenges that are never, ever before in human history. Doesn't make sense? And they don't speak proper English to tell you, Mom, I need a little bit more of this, more of that. They show behavior challenges. Like aggressive behavior, hit the little sister right in their face. Or whatever they do. I mean, you have more stories than I can tell, of course. But what do we do next when this happens? The bloody nose of the little sister. Do we punish them? Or do we look closer? And that's what I want to do with you today. Have a closer look. What is all this about? How do we respond? And enjoy their uniqueness every day. How about that? Because that's what it comes down to. All of these children are your children, and you love and care about them deeply. You want for them to have the best life possible. True? Does it make sense to you? Good. There's my ball. Okay, keep it handy here. So, how do you do this? Does it sound like Mission Impossible? Hopefully, you're in the right class. Because sometimes it might. So, let me give you one of our hundreds of examples. Lucas, here's the whole picture in one slide. Mild dyslexia and passivity. Actually, the dad is a friend of mine. Peter, he lives in Atlanta, he's a CEO. He gave me this phone call one day and said, Peter, send me the report. 16 pages. Mild dyslexia, whatever. I read it, brilliant, done, well-researched, great testing, everything in place. I said, I don't believe a word it says. Can I see him? So we did what we call a genius profile, which means we evaluate 12 intelligences. IQ measures only 2. IQ was invented in 1900. I need to say more? It might be just a little bit outdated. Just a little bit. How many of you know Howard Gardner, multiple intelligences? Can I see a show of hands? 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, thank you. He has 8 intelligences. Harvard professor of psychology, I believe him. He was so funny to watch him. First he had 4, then he had 5, then he had 6. Every year he added 1. You know why? Every single time he got a huge resistance from psychologists and education. How dare you? To violate the sacred cow of IQ. I'm so glad for him he did that already. However, we had to add 4 more intelligences to cover what we found out. One of them, for example, being business intelligence. Just think about it for a moment. The little 9-year-old who buys big bottles of shampoos from his allowance, little boxes, little plastic bottles, nice looking labels, and 1 fragrance. He goes home, fills all these plastic bottles, puts nice labels on it, sells them door to door for 150% profit. Is that IQ? I don't think so. That's business intelligence. See? Once he figured it out with this 9-year-old, his grades went up, there were no behavior issues, nothing. Because he found his element. The earlier in life, the better. The more you can help your children find that, the better. So back to Lucas. He loves business. For example, he asked on his way to school, he asked his CEO daddy, Dad, what are stock options? Typical question for a 9-year-old, isn't it? Once he figured it out, now he had homework to do, headlines of Wall Street Journal. He learned reading within 1 week. Finally, something that interests me. You see how we could get stuck in reading, writing, and math? It's just the surface. Go underneath where the passion is. Then teach me reading and writing. That's what I learned from my children. Does it make any sense to you? I see already movies running through your head about your children, which is a good thing. Keep them running, okay? Because we'll open for question and answers. Okay, definitely. So, these are the miracles we see every day. And personally, me and all my genius coaches, we love success stories. I love them much better than bad news, because I have enough of them on the media. So that's Lucas. The challenge is twofold. Meaningful information, not just anything. I just talked to a parent out there on our table, at our table. He loves to read science fiction stuff. Perfect. He loves to read reality books. Totally different section of reading. You cannot give them the same books. They're common sense enough. So that's what you're facing every day. Just listen to your kids, observe them, and flow with them. So, that's one. The hungry intellect is normally they have huge hunger for information, but give me something that means something to me. That's important. Not how to learn read faster, no, how to learn to read more meaningful. We teach them, for example, we have one part of our program is called photo reading. Ever heard of, who knows about photo reading? Nobody. Good. You can actually flip a page in 2 seconds and get the picture of the whole page. You read a book in 1 hour and 50 minutes. And the retention rate is 60% higher. I don't go into that. That's how geniuses are supposed to read. It's natural, because the guy who invented it, Paul Siegel, he was one of this tortured child. Reading was just not fast enough. And I had one conversation again. Oh, my daughter refuses to read. I talked immediately. I thought immediately, reading might just be too slow for her, because she's a visual processor. And then we talked to mom more, and she said, yes, she loves movies. She can rebuild movies with Legos on the floor, because she's so vivid into these pictures and scenes. Guess what? Her brain processes visually, not verbally. Right now we know there are 3 ways the human brain processes information. Are you ready for information? Number 1, of course, letters, language. Listening, thinking, and speaking happens in language. And we are all trained in school to do that. Number 2 is numbers. All the computer geeks in the world, the programmers, they don't speak language, they speak code. And they understand each other worldwide. I have no clue about that, but it works. And number 3 is visual. And those are the kids that are lost in the system. But they are the kids that love videos, they love to create videos, they love to see movies backwards and arrange them and everything. Those are visual processors. And guess what? They have what we call photographic memory. They take a picture and see it. They take a test and know exactly the answers on page 169 in the lower third, before they even know what it is. Visual processors, completely neglected in our school system, as it is. But not by you as parents anymore after today. Because you heard about it now. There's much more to it, of course, but it's just going to give you a lot of input today. Because you came here hungry for information, true? I want to give you a lot of practical things, what you can do and research and figure out by observing your child on a whole different level, as a parent coach, as of today forward. Any questions so far? Just notice something. I talk too much, you don't talk. Way enough. Not enough. Who else has a question? No? Nobody. This needs to change, Mara. Go ahead. Yes, thank you.
Okay, well, I can ask a question about, I have a visual learner.
And so the way I first learned about it is she was a voracious Harry Potter reader when she was she finished when she was about 5. She read the Harry Potter series.
Here we go.
And then the movies came out. and she stormed out of the first movie because the first one was the color of the wand between Harry and Voldemort wasn't the color in the book. And then there was a misquote of something. So, yeah, everybody here is going, oh yeah, I have that.
So, totally.
But, so it causes frustration.
Totally.
I mean, it causes
Yes.
I don't remember how old she was when the first movie came out, but her leaving the theater.
Yeah.
And us blowing, ticket money.
Absolutely.
Does this address those types, so if you
Totally.
understand that
Totally.
frustration is gonna
Totally.
go away and
You see what's
she'll be
behind?
okay that the book and the movie aren't exactly the same?
It will never be the same.
I know.
So relax. But what we do, we look at the full story behind it. Okay, what's underneath? This money was well spent. Because
Okay.
what she showed to me, just listen to this story, is a vivid imagination. She makes up her own movies while she reads a book.
Yeah.
And nobody teaches her this script is wrong, because it's my script, how I understand this book. And every producer in the world will mess it up.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that's
So
what she
that
says.
calls for, yeah, I believe her, she's not even here.
Tells me that all the time.
That's it, that's it. And you bring out such an important point, okay? It's important to pay full attention to listening what they really tell you without your own images. And that's the difference between the parent and the parent coach. You listen unbiased, because underneath here is a huge power of imagination. Give this girl a script, he designs her own movie in a heartbeat. Does that make any sense? Thank you. Great contribution, great example. So the second thing is understanding unusual behavior. How many of your children have behavior quirks? Mine do have 3. That's body language, nothing else, okay? And the question is, do I shut it down? Or do I really pay close attention? What does my daughter really want to tell me? Example, the 7-year-old coming in, so funny. He got in trouble at the principal's office almost every other day. For aggressive behavior. The boy walks in my office, peaceful as you can be. Nice, friendly, conversational, open. Said, so what did you get in trouble yesterday? How did you get in trouble in the principal's office? Because your mom told me you hit the boy right in his face. So it turns out, as he unfolds, we do a lot of games. Okay, we play Lego in our practice to relax them. When you play with them, they open deeper. That's what we need, the deeper opening. That's why we do what we do. And turns out, one thing that triggers aggression in him is if somebody gets bullied. He does not question anything. He jumps out of the seat and attacks the bully. Even if it's 5 times stronger than he is, he doesn't care. He has a deeply rooted sense for fairness and social justice. And nobody can take that away from him. So over a year, we educated the principal and the parent to train him as a specialist for bullying, because he's a talker. Now he goes around in different classes and gives speeches about bullying. You cannot have a better speaker than an 8-year-old. See what I mean? When you flip that coin, here is aggressive behavior, scary. No, it's not. Just look underneath. What's the background noise? What's the real motivation, the real passion of this child? And you will hear why this is such a big issue. Boredom, oh my God, the big B. How many of your children are bored? Yes, all the hands go up, absolutely. Now this would be a whole lecture all by itself. And actually I do this lecture, right, and bored now what? And even it was so frequently requested, we record it in the meantime and put it on our website, geniuscoaching.com. So if you go there, you'll find Bright and Bored. You have a video version and an audio version. Because boredom means my brain is not busy enough right now. My brain is in idle mode. So it can drive you bananas, of course, if this child is always bored and bored and bored and bored. Because for you as a parent, it's never enough. It's never enough. I'm not good enough as a parent. That's the parent-child game forever. And you can never win this game. So let's just quit right there. The point is, what's behind this? How many of you attended the presentation this morning, the keynote? Yes. Remember she mentioned that? She talked about sensitivity and intensity. And then specific question, what is the situation when you're bored? Okay, and then asking more question, what does this boring feeling mean to you? Instead of going back with you should, you go back with questions. And that's the coach approach. Because coaches internationally are paid for asking questions. Consultants are paid for having answers. Big difference. So you ask questions for more when you see obnoxious or disturbing and disruptive behavior. You want to understand what's underneath. Okay? So that's the boredom. How you deal with it? Big lecture all by itself. Because here are possibilities for boredom, and this list is by far not complete. Unable to relax, the restless child. Okay, the child that comes home, we had just this conversation about your daughter. She runs every day because we discovered in her coaching, she is a physical athlete, she needs lots of action. She runs and is happy, comes home and cannot sleep. Unable to relax. And I just gave her the powerful exercise to do that as a mother. So you should be able to switch between totally active and total relaxation. In genius coaching we call it relaxed intensity. Both goes together in the same body. And everybody needs to learn both. So that was one thing. It could be unclear interest. I don't know what I'm good at. I'm interested in 1,500 different things. I'm all over the place distracted. But I'm bored with myself because I'm so restless. It could be lack of connection. I cannot talk to anybody. Nobody understands me. So the list goes on. And this is just the symptoms. Like I said, I don't want to shut down the symptoms. I want to find out the causes. That's where we can interact with them. What's the story behind it? That's where you will need coaching skills to figure that out. It's totally rewarding to do that. Or, low ability to reflect and never think about myself. I think about everybody else, but never about myself. Who am I? I don't know. By the way, it's also an adult sickness, not only children. Okay? But we don't go there today because you're here as parents for your children. We talk about it. Hidden desire to go deeper. Oh my gosh, I had this recently with a 7-year-old. We had a genius evaluation session with him, and he relaxed with playing Legos and do all the games we do. And then it was quiet for a moment. I could think. You could see he thinks about something. I didn't interrupt it. All of a sudden it pops out of him. Mom, why do people have to die? Mom was in shock. It was quiet again. I didn't interrupt the silence. Next question. Mom, why do we never talk about that? 7 years old, bright like the sun. These children love depth. These deep, meaningful questions, they're not too young for that. Okay? This gives them a anchoring roots in their own personality. Are we surprised that they lack confidence later in life? They can never answer on these deeper existential levels? Invite them for this conversation. They are so ready for that. Not just superficial movies and all that kind of conversation. Or next on the agenda. So these are things. Meaningful challenges, absolutely. Urge to be superficially active all the time in order to fit in. Because all my friends do like that. And they hate it, but they do it anyway. Just to not be socially cut up. So, this is just a brief introduction because I do the thinking. I like science because I'm a biology teacher. What it means, the boredom in the brain, random activity anywhere. Because it's out of control. That could mean one day association fibers are bombarded. They have connections between different brain centers. The cable, the wiring inside of the brain. If they have random activities, guess what? Random ideas come out of this boy and girl. And you don't know what's going on. It's just overload in the specific fibers. Because there's no guidance. They don't know their passion yet, their specific interests. That's why if you find this combination between passion and interest, that's it. Then we can build real, meaningful talent for life. Because what I have in mind with you today, not just being a temporary parent, and I'm so glad they finally leave house for college. Oh, forget that stuff. I want you to be advisor for a lifetime. That they call you when they're 40, that their midlife crisis going on, that they call you. Because you're still their trusted advisor. That's how you build it. early on in life. They can come to you with anything, and they are not criticized. That requires the maturity of a parent coach to do that. Because sometimes they can make you roll your eyes. Absolutely. Or you need to take a deep breath or several ones. Or do a lot of these exercises first to calm down, okay? Before you answer. But please, whatever it takes, stay in touch, stay connected. Whatever happens in the brain, I call it brain panic. Just random activities. And we don't need to understand anything as long as you understand what's going on in this brain right now. That's enough. Not the details, the stories you hear. Does that make sense? So, yes, I owe you something, explanation why I do what I do. That's my past life in Germany. High school teacher for biology and chemistry. And biology I studied for one reason only. I was fascinated, and still am, about the miracle of the human body. That's what makes me tick. How the nervous system works with the hormonal system. How the quality of our food determines my ADD in the brain. How the quality of nutrition determines my ability to relax. I frequently use an analogy to get kids to healthier eating because they just pizza, 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 not good enough. I tell them, imagine you have a high-performance brain like a race car. What happens if you put normal fuel in this race car? You ruin the engine, and that's it. Same thing is true for your brain. You want to make sure you get the right fuel for your brain. Are you ready to change it? That's how we get most of the time buy-in. To break family nutrition habits, which is a big deal by itself. Different lecture. Second thing, hydration. I give them a big speech. The brain is 90% water, like jello. If you run to the desert, you lose it, your brain is out of it, even though your heart, your stomach is still working fine. The first system that breaks down is the nervous system. What you need to do, just hydrate it, and you come back to life. Guess what? It happens all the time on a subtle level. As you sit here, you transpire all the time in evaporated water. Of course we do. That's one way of being alive. So the golden rule is one mouthful, one sip every 10 minutes. Are you ready? Oh, I have mine here. It's not because of the desert. You evaporate as much sitting in the air condition because it's blowing at you all the time. When you wake up in the morning, you're already behind because you didn't drink all night. So it's not the coffee that wakes you up. 2 glasses of water wake you up. And then the coffee can come on top of it. Don't worry about it. Don't take away your coffee. Don't worry about it. These are very looks in the face. Okay, so that's one thing. Then teaching consultant. Yes, I speak Portuguese. I live in Brazil for the German government as an education consultant, which means in real terms 18 months culture shock. Coming from Germany, going to Brazil. You need to say more? Okay, I realized over there, same thing, just in Portuguese. Same giftedness issues, same suppressed intelligence, same. It's in Germany, it's all over the world. Because education is education is education. And part-time teaching, yes, I transitioned carefully into my new adventure. And then I started Fit for Learning in Scottsdale. We had to fold after 1 year, even if we had 100 families already, but it was not enough to run a business for 2 people full time. And I had to learn a very important lesson. Marketing and sales is very different compared to Germany. Because in Germany, you don't brag about yourself. In America, you have to. That's the essence. I had to learn that. So I took a job first in a, I sold glass window replacement, $10 an hour. And the owner was a sales genius. And I discovered sales software on his computer. I was his hero. So I brought his whole system on a computer. He was so happy about that. But then he had to fire me anyway because his boys, they were high on drugs. He smashed more glass than they replaced. So he couldn't maintain his business, had to let me go. But it was good enough for me to get my basic American sales training, which was great. Then I had this job as a training manager, which means I learned business English compared to my tourist English before. That was helpful because I also learned the same thing is true in corporations. They still don't know what they're good at. They're still working jobs they hate every day and just going for the paycheck. Oh, it's Monday. Oh, it's Friday. Oh, it's Monday. Oh. Give me a break. That's torture too. We don't go there because it's education right now. But yes, we work in corporations as well. And one of our clients is Oracle Corporation, small company, I guess. And we do a workshop for them. It's called Step Out of the Box and Into Your Genius. We teach them innovation and creativity. They need it really bad. Back to education, okay? After this, I started finding Genius Coaching with children, and we don't work with children. We only work with families. Because the family has to provide the environment for this development. Otherwise, forget it. The beginning, mothers came to me dropping off their child. Yeah, I go shopping in the meantime. Can I ask you a question? And then she stayed longer than the child. Because she realized it's about you creating this environment at home where your child can actually flourish and get things from your insights that the school just cannot provide. Because the school is trained to common standards, and that's what they do. The other thing they don't do, it's not in their job description. They are not to blame for it, it's nothing. It's just a missing piece in education. So, with this in mind, I started to do that. My vision is, here it is, strength-based environment in families, schools, and companies that brings out the best in every human being of any age. Our youngest client is 3.5. Our oldest client right now is 73. And he refuses to retire. He's a highly developed international sales executive, travels to Asia and to Europe. Amazing person. And he knows if he stops, he dies. Because he's so engaged in what he does. Right now, I coach him to repackage himself as an international consultant and offer his value and experience to a lot of people. And age is not going to stop him because he has too much fun to retire. He rewires instead of retire. It's much better. Okay, my vision and passion. Here we go. The fish is today in action. That's great. Strength-based environment in family, school, and company bring out the best in every human being of any age. I need your help to do that. You see where your job begins? You create this environment at home. And this is fun to do if you know what you're doing. Because if the fish is sick, you change the water, not the fish. The environment makes all the difference. If schools cannot do it, guess what? Doesn't matter. I care more about your child connecting with one teacher who has emotional warmth, has a heart. More than the fact that the school is progressive, conservative, or whatever it is. Yes, gifted programs are brilliant, and I'm so glad we have them. On top of that, they need connection from the heart. And that's my major question. How do you like your teacher on a scale from 1 to 10? -5. That's clear. See? So that's where we need to work as a team. To create this human environment that brilliance can actually flourish. Yeah, it should be fun to be brilliant, shouldn't it? Okay. Do you remember? That's how you looked a while ago. Okay, 26 chromosomes, no, 23 chromosomes from your dad, 23 from your mom. That's all you had. Okay? You found a very nourishing environment in the mother's womb, and after a few weeks, you look like this. Maybe. But the point being, nobody had to tell you, don't forget, it's time to develop brain cells. Don't forget your muscles, don't forget you. No way. Everything was written on these 46 chromosomes. True? Don't you think that these same chromosomes had information about your talents and strengths? Otherwise, Mother Nature would be very stupid. Which means by just building your body from this one fertilized egg cell to a living human being that looked like this eventually. Come on. Yeah, thank you. Cute. This is genius, intelligence, in action on a biological level. True? So if you think you're not a genius, I'm sorry, it's too late. You're born already. And our job now is to figure out what is written on this DNA in terms of talents and strength. Do you see how your job goes way beyond the school system? I hope you see it. That's what it is, these early observations you have as a parent. You felt it from the day he or she was born. My child is special. True? You don't dress it like your neighbor's child. You don't treat her like your neighbor's child. Nothing. You know in the core of your heart, my child is unique. And then you talk to yourself, oh no, I'm just a parent. No, you're not. You're a human being feeling what's true. Otherwise, your child gets de-geniusized early on in life. Happened to probably almost all of us. I know exactly what happened to me. I know when it happened. I'll spare you the story. So, the point is, we are born unique. Unique smile. Why would parents go crazy when a baby is born? They text it everywhere. They put it on Facebook. The pictures, are they nuts? It's just another baby. Happens every 5 minutes. True? No. You know in your heart your child is special. Everything is unique. And the strengths and talents are no exception to that rule. Why do we think school can figure out what my child is good at? Way too much for these poor teachers. It is our job to figure it out together. Some talents show up outside the family. Don't realize they come to school, talk to a teacher, and the teacher tells a story about a person you don't even know. It's supposed to be your child. Because she shows a whole different personality at school. These insights are valuable. Okay? Because she's a natural actress, absolutely talented to develop. So if you develop it all the way, genius is based on uniqueness. Uniqueness comes first in life. School is second. Don't mess it up. Which means school teaches common standards. That's what they do. Remember, it was developed in the industrialization age based on the Industrial Revolution. Put them into age batches and send them to a system of common standards with the same test as an outcome. Assembly line. Does it shock you? No, it's real. That's why our system fails so badly with kids of this generation. Because it's just not working anymore. It's wonderful to have common standards. Okay? Otherwise, we wouldn't speak the same language. We wouldn't do the same math problems. That's one part. But the second half, uniqueness. Who develops uniqueness? Are we all limping? Only common standards? How about the second leg? That's what we teach. Families, parents, teachers, and recently also schools, entire schools. So we expand as we speak. Because this knowledge has nothing to do with what the schools do. It adds a piece they don't do. And it's so necessary for regular human development of brilliant children and adults to walk and run on 2 legs. That common sense enough? I just spend some time here to give you the big picture to understand where we come from. Why it's useless to fight the school system. Absolutely. Because they do something that needs to be done and is necessary. We brought education level internationally on a huge level. But now it's time for more. Because we are more sophisticated. We see human development with all this information out there, much more precise for what it is. Especially for our internet children. They have high demands. That's why they challenge you as parents. Rightfully so. So, and then the big decision is made early on in life. Do I fit in? I love this slide. It's so cute. Do I fit into my family? Do I fit into my kindergarten group? Or do I belong to my family? And that's the strong emotional part of human development. Beyond the intellect. We talk about development of the mind and the heart together. Call it holistic, that's what it is. I'm interested in the whole child from head to toe. Not just the neck up. So, if the child belongs to something, totally emotionally healthy, no behavior issues, no nothing. No confidence problems, no nothing. She knows who she is, why she is unique, and never like anybody else, and she knows to make it a point. She does not need to fight for her life. A lot of children think they need to do that every day. They compete for nothing. And competition, don't get me wrong, can be healthy, but not in this exaggerated way. So that's the only decision, fitting in, because you insist to walk on 2 legs. So, if you need help on the uniqueness side, that's where we come in at Genius Coaching. I started Certified Genius Coaches in 2010. In the meantime, we have 48 and growing. And October 1st marks a historic history in my company. It's just 10 years old. But the first time somebody bought a business license for Belarus, Russia. He started last week. He was in for training last month. He was so excited to find this on the internet that coaching works for corporations and for families with the same tools. So it's all behavior-based. It's all about suppressed intelligence. Just bring up this suppressed intelligence, and all the symptoms disappear. Common sense enough? So, because the human body, as we sit here, insists to walk on two legs. Time for exercises. Good reaction. Where's your thumb?
Rocker?
No, they need to sit on the floor for that one. That doesn't work. Let's try again.
Hip swing.
We had that one. Okay, another one.
Pendulum.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, I'll show it to you first before you get up. You need to cross your legs, then you bend forward, and you swing your arms like a pendulum. If it hurts in the lower back, you sit too much. Let's do it. Cross your legs, bend forward, don't hit anybody, and then swing your arms like a pendulum. And keep breathing. Don't scream if it hurts, okay? Of course we switch. Thank you. Genius in action. Very alert. Cross your legs the other way. And then the same thing. Bend forwards and feel the awkwardness of it. Loosens up all your hip area. There's my ball. Okay. I insist my ball is back at all times. So, if you still have questions about genius, first of all, we wrote a book about it. You don't need to read the book, just read the title. It says, yes, you're a genius, whether you know it or not. After you're done with read the title for a year, and believe it slowly, then you can maybe open and read the forward. So take it easy, it's a very unusual book, you cannot do speed reading, because it goes so much against our beliefs. Then we think, okay, I'm just another person populating the planet, nothing special about me. That's another lecture. I call this entity the inner terrorist that tries to talk you out of your natural brilliance. So my partner Suzanne and Lang, we wrote this book together in 2007, first to summarize everything we did until that point. It was quite an adventure because it forced us to insert our own stories. And one story goes, she opens the story with this, they opened the book with this. When we met and started dating, one of our first dates, Susanna is very quiet. So, but I took her out for dinner, after 2 glasses of wine, these things changed. She started to talk. And she started to talk and talk and talk, and I started to listen and say, Susanna, do you know that you are brilliant beyond belief? She was ready to jump in my face. Because after 30 years of her life, she never ever heard that before. And she never believed that this would be true. It took her years to accept that. Then she became so excited, she became my first genius consultant at training. She went to the first training with me. But the fact that you're brilliant is new. For your children, they get so much talked out of it early on in life. Important to fit in kindergarten, important to do this, important to do that. But who are you, my child? These are the questions I encourage you, I urge you today, from today forward to ask. Who are you really, beyond being my child? Who are you as a person? And here are 5 criteria to look for. A handful, easy to memorize. Number 1, intelligence. We talked already about it, more than IQ. Because IQ is not big enough to measure intelligence. Another lecture about that. I don't go there. Because it responds to this insatiable curiosity we observe in these children. Once they've found their sweet spot, I want to know everything about dinosaurs, but I mean everything. Whatever the specialty is. Number 2, intensity. Which means if they want to have something, they want to have it now. Tomorrow does not exist in their vocabulary. It's only now or it's never. Elvis Presley had an idea about that. It's now or never. So, sensitivity. We heard about this in the morning in our keynote. The combination is so tricky. These kids are super sensitive. Please cut out my label from the t-shirt. It itches me. My socks are impossible to wear today. Okay? this t-shirt has a little bit too much whatever fiber in it. They notice that stuff. Or food sensitivities, they get the label allergy right away. No, it's a sensitivity. They cannot stand avocados for whatever reason. But it's so healthy for you, forget it. It's sensitivity and it is special. Yes, you will need to find specific things they like. Beyond addictive food. Another lecture. But sensitivity means it's part of the genius package. That means all their senses are wide open to feed this hungry brain. The sense for touch, for temperature, for light, for sound, for everything. It can be too light in the room, too dark in the room, too whatever in the room. Okay? Does that sound like your child? Or like yourself? The chances are you might be in that category yourself. How about that? So much for adult giftedness. It doesn't stop with aging if you didn't realize that. Because it's not a flaw of nature, it's something that's natural in you. Like your left arm, you cannot discuss your left arm. Doesn't make sense. Specialty, that's why we insist so much that everybody finds their uniqueness. There's a new book out there called The Element. Ever heard about that? Ken Robinson. If you like TED Talks, how many of you like TED.com? TED, okay. If you go on TED, it's a non-profit organization. They spread ideas that are worth spreading. And one of the famous talkers is Ken Robinson, a guy that moved here from England. And he had a hit in 2006 already. The most viewed TED Talk ever. 17 million people until today. It's called How Schools Kill Creativity. And it's so much fun to watch him because it's his dry English humor. It's very fun. And he's a genius himself. So Ken Robinson. He wrote this book, The Element. In the meantime, he lives in LA. I like it because it's much closer to where we are. And what he calls element, I call genius. Once you are in your element, you thrive. And it can be painful until you find it. Some people even create a midlife crisis to find it. Whatever it takes. The body doesn't take no for an answer. Some people give up and shut it down. Whatever. Entertainment, drugs, whatever. Superficiality, overeating, you name it. All the weapons are readily available. But when you find this, your meaning of life changes. That's why we are so strong about specialty. The earlier in life, the better. And 4-year-olds tell you the story while they play Lego. Or whatever they like to play. They express themselves through playing. That's why we include a lot of playing in our genius coaching. And the last one, charisma. They are passionate about their stuff. Whatever that is. Okay? They want to answer these questions because it drives their passion. And passion is crucial. Talent alone doesn't mean anything. If there's no passion inside, nothing is going to happen. That's why we always look for both. What is your passion? What are you good at? Let's combine those two. The little girl that cannot sit still, she might be a dancer. Hint, hint. She might be an athlete, like we found with your daughter Angela. Nobody in the family is an athlete.
No.
But she's the only one.
She was born with the body of an athlete.
Yeah.
Had the muscles all her life.
And she is part of a triplet. Go figure. Okay? And now we figured it out and she cannot stop running anymore. See what I mean? It comes out of these children like, finally, my prayers have been answered. So this combination is so important to understand on a deeper level. Yes, what if the child is gifted outside the school system? Then you're really in trouble because school cannot help you. But you as a parent are called to action. That's why I wanted to promote all of you as of today to be CEOs, Chief Education Officers. And you set your teams in place how education is supposed to function for your child. It is different for every family, even more so within the family for your siblings too, and for their siblings too, because how many of you have two children that are very different from each other? You see where we're going with this? It's never one size fits all. Never, ever. If it adds more to your plate, welcome to the challenge. Okay, yes, we have this book, and the genius problem is, you wrote a whole chapter about it, which is 22 reasons why you have been de-geniusized. First of all, your parents have been geniuses, which means my father is a CEO, my mother is a whatever, sales executive. I cannot be that good. Or my father is an actor. He's a star. Who am I as a little child? You see? The parents are too brilliant. Or the opposite. The parents don't pay attention to their genius. Who am I to be beyond that? No way. So, or too much TV, which means you take on other people's life. You think it's yours. As a child, you do this, and these kids are open. The senses are open. They take in all kinds of role models until they have to decide, do you want to be a gang leader or a CEO? And there's a big difference, of course. So these are things we focus on to write more about it. Make it a little short because we have not a lot of time. But when are we supposed to help me with time? 2:30. That's 2 minutes and 39 seconds. True? Here it's more. 5 minutes. I go with this clock. So what if it does not happen? The body sends signals. Here's one of them. There was a recent phone call. 14, you recognize math patterns at age 5. Who pays attention to that? Obviously nobody did. So the signals become stronger. Then he plays dumb to fit in. Feels very lonely. Nobody understands me. He's right on. Nobody understands him. And before you know it, he's on medication for teenage depression with suicidal tendencies. Sometimes I believe at Genius Coaching we are in the business of teenage suicide prevention. And I know we are. Because that's how crucial it is. Do you live it or do you deny it? Because you're born like this. It's your birthright. If you don't claim it, the body sends warning signals. And everything we found in evidence, that's what it is. Suppress it, that's what's going to happen. ADD, dyslexia, whatever, laziness. Play all the games. Advanced symptoms, addictions. Addictions to video games. Very hard to cure because the body produces its own chemicals from the inside. Which means it's misguided intensity. Unless you find the outlet for the real intensity, very hard to get rid of that one. I see it as a symptom. And we look for the real roots of this intensity to take the guidance to where it belongs. So it's productive for this person, not destructive. Does that make sense? More or less? The body never lies, that's the good news. You can make up emotions and you can make up thoughts and all kinds of interesting things, but your body language never lies. That's what we go with. That's why we do all these exercises. The exercises, by the way, have a purpose. Oh yeah. If you need big statistics, that's one of them. 6,000 every day. That's a big number. And 60% are bright and gifted. Did you know that? I'm into preventing this. I'm into turning these numbers around. And yes, some people need to be happy outside the school system. Absolutely, nothing wrong with that. But the school system provides some things that are important. So, dropout is one thing, different lecture. Maisie, the last story I want to share with you. She came to us 7 years old. Holly brought her as the certified genius coach. And then one of the genius tests is, we asked them to draw something on the wall, which she did. The first drawing looked like this. So then, Maisie, what is it? Oh, they're flowers. Then we did all the conversation with mom, and then she went back to the whiteboard and drew these flowers. Without being trained, where do you see the difference? Anybody?
The difference is the direction.
Yeah, what does it tell you?
That she saw it that way, but somebody must have influenced her that that's not the way they go.
These flowers are dead.
Oh.
Those are alive. This child comes back to life at 7 years old. Does that make sense? That's what's in stake. Okay? Everybody deserves a life that is bright, prosperous, and brilliant. I won't settle for less. So if you can help me and help us spread the news, that's what I want to do. So I encourage you, let's stay in touch. If you want to have a weekly genius tip, stop by at our table, sign up for this on the list. If you want to buy one of these products, Fauzi is right there right now. And if you have questions, by all means, send us your success story. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.